Would I, Emily Letts, actually date a crossdresser? I mean, in real life, would I date a crossdresser? That's the question we are going to answer today. So, welcome to another episode of Soul Kink Therapy. My name is Emily Letts. I'm a therapeutic dominatrix based in Boulder, Colorado. And on this podcast, every episode, we use conscious kink as a portal into your shame, your shadow, and your most authentic self, all in the name of your liberation. So, today, I want to bring up this experience that I had recently where I sat down with my partner and I actually asked myself, I am supporting hundreds, if not thousands, of male identified folks in exploring their feminine and exploring their um, capacity and interest of cross dressing. And I'm also supporting them in talking to their partners about their cross dressing and integrating cross dressing into their relationships. Well, here I am, never having fully asked myself that question. Spoiler alert, what I found was shocking, to say the least. So, I couldn't think of a better person to help me explore this topic than my very own beloved of 4 years, Jeff. So, welcome to the show, Jeff. So, Jeff, just to give you a little context, Jeff and I have been, we are in a non-monogamous relationship. So, he happens to be one of the few Emily experts on this planet who can attest to how I move in relationship and also what I would need out of a partner to make it sustainable for me. So Jeff today is going to help me ask me questions and interviewing me, and we're going to be going back and forth on what would I authentically need to not only date a crossdresser, if I'd be willing to in the first place, but also to create hot, delicious, steamy play and sex with a crossdresser. So welcome to the show, Jeff. Oh, I also want to say another huge credential of Jeff's for being on the show is that Jeff has done almost like 4 years straight of developing his masculine, of doing men's work, of going to retreats and men's groups and all of this in order to be, how would you describe it? A better masculine partner?
Yeah, I think, to be I want to be clear, I'm not like an expert on men's work. Those people do exist out there, but yeah, absolutely. I've been doing a lot of work to learn to hold myself and then to better hold you.
So again, he is an expert on how to hold Emily Letts in partnership.
I will attest to that one. Absolutely, an Emily expert.
Ooh, I have a feeling many times on this podcast I'm gonna want to like jump out of the screen and give you a kiss on the face. Ugh. Okay. So my question. So, Jeff, from everything you know about me as an Emily expert, what would you think? Do you think I'd be into dating a crossdresser? Just like off the top of your head.
Yeah, I think complete blank response when we started this conversation. I was like, the first thing I would think of is that Emily is built her entire life, career, everything about eliminating shame and being truly liberated. And so I'm like, oh no, she wouldn't have any issue with. She's like the most kink open-minded person I've ever been in any kind of interaction with. And so it's like, yeah, that's just a kink. She'd be fine with whatever kink a partner brought. And then with a little more thought, also, then I'm like, wait, well, I could see this being a problem because, you know, Emily's deepest desire, particularly in eroticism, is for you to be in your feminine, and
Huh.
to have somebody else be in their feminine. It's like, oh, but you could be like, oh, but I want to be the pretty one. I want to be the desired
I
one.
do want
I
to be
want to
the
be
pretty
chased.
one.
And so I could definitely see that would be a super big challenge to go, oh, what if the other person's the pretty one? Um, yeah, So that I think there's a real tension there between like, oh, you'd want to be really open minded and you know this could be a fun thing to explore and play with, and also like, well, wait, I want to be the pretty one.
Honestly, when you say that, it makes me realize that I feel when I do date just like regular cis men, I feel very destabilized and very distrusting of men who are like objectively beautiful. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
and who know they're beautiful.
right.
And so there's very different, that's a very different thing of partners who are beautiful, since I clearly am very attracted to you. But when we start dating, you definitely did not know you were beautiful.
No,
Like that,
definitely not.
that was a
That was
long
not the
road
vibe.
to get you to understand and take advantage of your full handsomeness. But, like, when I meet a man who, you know, like, has the swagger and realizes, like, their beauty is a tool for them to wield, I immediately, like, am sort of in awe of them, but my relational body will not open up to them. And I'm
Right.
recognizing, I'm just putting this together. It's like, "Oh, because that threat, like, I want to be the pretty one."
Yeah.
It's how the world works
That
for me.
that Emily is always the pretty one in the room.
Okay, now I'm starting to feel embarrassed and a little too narcissistic. Let's keep some shred of dignity for me on this podcast. So yeah, so when I was this is exactly it. When I asked myself this question, would I date a crossdresser? My immediate answer was fuck no. And that sent ripples through my spine. Because it exactly that, it contradicted everything that I'm doing. Like, if I would not be open to a crosser, how can I be the one to be so supportive of all of these other humans and exploring this and also supporting them and leading the charge and bringing this to their partnership. So, because of that, I realized that I need to do a lot more digging for myself and that there's actually something for me here to explore. Cuz if there's one thing I'm many things, narcissistic, yes, an attention seeker, sure, like whatever, deeply blatant like and curt in inappropriate situations. Yes, dropping the F bomb at like grandma's funeral. Yeah, that kind of thing, for sure. But one thing I really do not think I call myself is hypocritical.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that, sir?
100%. Yeah. No, it was interesting to see your reaction in that moment. Like, fuck, that's and I think it's useful to realize too that it was like you did it like, well, I could see it doing as a fling or like the secondary partner or somebody, but the closer it got to be like, oh, this is going to be your primary person. This would be like a long-standing, like big relationship you depend on. I could just see the reaction in your body of like there was it was a physical fuck now that came up for you.
And I think this is why it's really interesting to put this in the context of non-monogamy because it was when I put it as a secondary partner, for me a primary partner would be like Jeff. Like in polyamorous terms, we nest together, which means like we live together, we create a home together. Like our daily activities are done in conjunction and with consideration for each other. We are each other's stabilizing force. A secondary partner for me would be and is something that I'm actively looking for is somebody that I could invest in long term and that I would see 1 to 2 times per week or, even once every other week if I had to. But it's somebody who would, add something to my life, but I wouldn't need that person like I would need Jeff. Does that sound right, babe?
Yeah, yeah, I think there's absolutely our relationship is much more of this sort of safe harbor and platform to build from, and yeah, other relationships would add on to that, but there's always this base rock between the two of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for me, the secondary partner could totally be a crossdresser. Like the idea of going out and having nights out with a, a person who identifies as a man in their feminine, and like having kink scenes specifically around that, and having, and like going shopping for them, and like picking out outfits for them, and like, for me, one of my and my own eroticism as a dom, like the idea of using somebody. Um, so like picking out lingerie for them and realizing like later I'm gonna use their cock, just for myself, and they're gonna be a fuck doll. Like something like that. Like totally. I could totally get off on. But then there's the contradiction of like actual partnership. And
Right.
again, a lot of the people that I work with, I'm not talking to them about flings. I'm talking to them about actual partnership.
Right.
Does that sound right?
Yeah. That. Yeah. And specifically, I mean, we're talking about this in the context of polyamory, but like, yeah, if that's their sole partnership, that's obviously they're trying to bring it to a person who's really, they're each other's everything.
Exactly. Like you're my everything.
Aw, and mine.
Okay. So now this is the discussion I ultimately wanted to have with you, beloved,
Hmm.
is deciding what would I actually need in terms of agreements, conditions, archetypes. What would not be okay? What would be awesome? And what would actually make it genuinely hot for me to say fuck yes to partnering, like as a primary partner with a crossdresser? Are you open for this conversation?
I am absolutely open.
Okay. So, first, one of the things that I think is most important to talk about in terms of this conversation is polarity.
Mm.
I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about like because of what polarity means to you, and why it's so important. Why do you think it would be so important in this conversation?
Yeah, and I think, you spent some time on this podcast talking about the divine masculine and divine feminine, but I think just to sort of recap, it's, the masculine is holding that sort of steadiness and observer, non-reactive, the feeling that nothing has to change, all of those pieces, that's kind of like masculine energy. The feminine is the flow, the wiggle, the excitement, the thrill, and all of us have both. But I think what you specifically, you know, it's the way it's taught. But I think we have good objective evidence that if both of us are in one or the other, particularly if we're both kind of in flow and wiggly, it can be very sweet, but there's not a lot of heat. There's not a lot of eroticism. You need somebody. If it's in a
It's like
BDSM,
best friends.
somebody has to be a dom, somebody has to be a sub. If you're both in sub, then yeah, you're like best friends. Or you're both in dom, you're out kicking ass. Could be done. But
Like
yeah,
kicking ass at colleagues,
yeah,
or so when in the shadow self, like competitive.
mm, yeah, um, exactly. So I think and I think um my sense is a lot of um the fuck no in your body is around you're okay being in your masculine or in your dom and for some part of our
Hmm.
relationship, for any relationship, but it's not your home. You don't
Hmm.
want you
Mm.
don't want to be there day in and all the time. And I think that comes up a lot, I think, in this kind of work, is that one of the deepest fears that the feminine can have about being sort of okay, I can bring out my masculine, is like, am I gonna have to stay here all the fucking time?
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I think that's a real element here.
But then the question is like, what about for men who like live right in the middle?
Mm.
Because I really like this concept of like, where's your home? Like, I love being a dom. I love telling people what to do. Like, I love ordering people around. I
This is
love being served.
this is true, 100% audience. Not making this part up.
I love, because I love being, and part of it is like I'm somebody who has a lot of vision. So I just instinctually feel like, ooh, I want to do this now. Ooh, this would be so good. And in fact, what were you just sharing with me? Like the five big personality
Oh, but
things?
yeah, the ocean, the big five, the yeah, outgoing. I don't have it in front of me right now, but agreeableness, neuroticism,
Yeah, but one of them,
introversion, extroversion.
yeah, one of them, you described me at, one of them is narcissism? No, not
No, neuroticism, which neuroticism sounds really bad, but the good part about neuroticism is like you want things to be better.
right.
It's the part that registers, oh, this isn't good enough. Which, for people who are deeply neurotic, if spending all your life thinking, oh, nothing is ever good enough, that's pretty painful. And like I said, the main masculine practice is learning to love things exactly as they are, just to be okay with things as they are.
Which is like the
Um,
witness.
yeah, being the witness, just I'm witnessing without judgment. And I'm really good at that,
You're
and
really,
you're
really, really good at it. I just
and
want he deserves an Oscar for how amazing he is at it.
and yeah, you're really good at like seeing how things could be better.
Which is honestly like it's funny because in other relationships, I dated a woman for like 4 years before Jeff. In fact, Jeff is my very first long-term relationship with a man. Yeah, good job. Good job,
Good
babe.
job. Cheers.
Um, but and maybe a lot of people listening to this might feel familiarity with this phrase is anything I do is not good enough. It's just never good enough for you. It's just never good enough. And I remember my ex saying that to me and being like, that's not it at all. Like it is good enough. It just, if we moved this over here, it could be better. Don't you want it to be better? But
Yeah.
the masculine, what happens when I do that to you?
Well, because I have a long history of and that's being in that same feeling. It's like Jesus, it's never good enough. I can, that I have a deep wound in from my childhood about believing. I mean, most men tend to have it ingrained in them that they're never enough.
Yeah.
I think that healing has been a lot of work over the last few years, and so now I can frequently, when you're like, oh, it could be, is that's when I can just sort of grab you and squish you, or smack you. It's just fine, and and and
Yeah.
and not make it about me. I mean, that's the main. Those
That's
are fun. Those are fun examples. There's also the just like, cool story. You'd like that better. Great. I'm gonna
that's
get back
the
to what I'm doing.
That's that's the thing that honestly has been such a relief for me in this partnership is when I know I'm like in the moment when I feel something and it feels like it wants to come through and I'm excited. Like I'm excited about changing our garden. I'm excited about changing these little tiny things and making it, making things better. It feels like it's constantly an evolving piece of artwork. It's a living organism that constantly gets to be updated. How awesome, how fun. And I recognize that this could be taken for like it could come off like I'm taking you for granted or taking whatever for granted. But for you to just hold that and say, "Hey, I see you want things better. I see that you are in your artistic process. I see that you're," you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I hear that you want something better. Come here. I see you getting dysregulated about it. I'm now going to squish you until you calm down.
yeah,
And it is the most liberating thing I've ever experienced in a relationship.
yeah. And I think that's back to the plot of the crossdresser piece is like that belief that somebody is going to hold you to. There's a lot of other stuff I do around setting time and space and things, but that generally it's I'm letting you be you and witnessing it and not being reactive and judgmental about it is. I think the fear that might not be there was a big part for you. Is my sense.
Yes, exactly. That was the thing, which is like, how would I negotiate that? I would not want to be in competition for who gets to be in the feminine. Like, that's my home. So then how, like, what what I'm still kind of back to then what is it like then for people whose maybe masculine might be in the home, but that's not a place that they feel comfortable in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think we talked about this too. You had another guest recently that talked about, men can get this thing they fantasize about, but they better bring a lot to the table. Um, is
Yeah, that was with Brandon the Dom. Can you just
yeah.
slow that down a little bit and share a little bit more about this concept? Because it's blew my mind when he said this.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like what I feel is that you or anyone in their feminine can be incredibly generous when when all other aspects of the relationship are full.
Hmm.
Whether it's sexually satisfied, like whether I'm just taking care of paying the bills or getting the trash out because that's my job. That all of these things is like if there's not a lot of other things that you want to be better, that you're not thinking, God, I wish that was better. Um, is that then it's like, oh, I want you to do this kinky thing that I'm really into that you're not that into.
Yeah.
Um, it's a lot easier to be generous. I think this is true of all humans, but particularly in their feminine. It's a lot easier to be generous when there's not a lot of other discontent. When you're feeling extremely full, it's like, oh yeah, I could now do this thing. Whether it's, yeah, I could now get involved with you while you're dressed up as a woman, or it's gonna be very straight, normal stuff like, yeah, devotional blowjob or any of these things. It's like it's generally just a lot easier to ask something from somebody if they're feeling completely full. So I would say that guy, that the person in the middle is I think that for you to be there, you'd have to feel like, oh yeah, they are going to hold me a lot in their masculine, and then I'll feel really good, and we could switch for a while.
That I love this concept so much because it's true. Like, I feel so like underneath all of the other feelings is this deep foundation of profound gratitude for you. Like, you have changed my life with your unconditional heart and with your devotion to being better. So, like, I, because when I met Jeff, he was a very, very, very different person. I cannot describe to you what a different person he was. And basically, when we started, I was basically his coach. I do not recommend this for normal relationships, but we happen to have a very unique way of entering into a relationship. And I basically was his coach. And so I was using my genius of, "Hey, this could be better. Hey, how is this working for you? Does this
Mm.
work for you, this way of living? If so, would you like to change to a different way of living?" And through that, you have been on this just profound journey over the last 3, 4 years, and you've just grown and rooted and changed in every single way possible. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, like we said, it was not true in the beginning that I could take those things you were saying and not be reactive and not make it about me. It was frequently, it was always making it about me, and how I must have messed up or whatever.
Which actually,
And
it wasn't you being defensive, that looked like you in collapse,
yeah,
which
exactly.
was
That
you
was
would
that was my pattern.
you would draw away and go silent or
Yeah,
people please,
yeah,
which is
and
a
just
form of collapse.
acquiesce to everything and not really be present in the moment. So yeah, so I think that that's the way I've showed up for you, and I think that allows you to be super generous to me on
Mm.
on the flip side. Um,
I do love
And
being generous to you.
you're
I
very good at
know.
it too.
I love it.
Yeah, exactly. And so that I think um, that's at least half of the battle there, right? Is like to just be in that place where you would feel safe, that you would feel comfortable. And I could I could step in. Emily could step into her masculine for a moment and play with a crossdresser. If all the other things were in place, and then the confidence that you wouldn't have to be there all the time.
Mm. It also actually I'm really recognizing is, like, the first 2 years of our relationship, you couldn't hold me. I would
Yeah,
s like, in the f is that fair to say?
yeah. That was why you were like, love you. You're great. It's good time, but definitely not my longtime person.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for the first 2 years of our relationship, I, like, had him at arm's distance because
yeah,
we were non-monogamous, so I was looking for my person, and I was like, "I love spending time with you, but you can't hold me. I can't
yeah.
choose you."
Right.
And in that way, like, it was much harder to be generous to you.
Hmm.
It was much harder to really be able to sink into you and to give back to you in 'cause, for me, one of my being in service to a romantic partner sexually, is an area of, like, no, thank
Deep
you.
threat.
Deep threat in my body,
Yeah.
right? So, like, the idea of a devotional blowjob, deep threat in my body. However, through you doing all this work for yourself, would you say this is fair?
Mm.
Through you stepping into your spine and, like, truly rooting your masculine, you taught me. Like, I felt like because you led the charge on I mean, I pointed the way, I was like, "You should sign up for this, you should sign up for this," but you're the one who took it on for yourself, for your own sense of what? Enlightenment.
Yeah. I mean, there was a big shift in there. Beginning, it was definitely doing it all to please and impress Emily. But then there was definitely a shift of like, oh, this is actually really important and really beneficial to me, and it became my own mission, not just as an act of devotion to you.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly, but through your work, it felt like you took me by the hand and led me into that wound and taught me what it
mm,
means to be what it means to be truly devoted to somebody.
mm,
And I could not have gone crossed that fire based on my own woundings if it hadn't been for you in your masculine leading me and and filling me up so profoundly in my own soul that then I knew what it felt like to be abundant and to want to fill up my partner in return.
yeah, I feel that. I feel that really strongly. Man, that's been a real shift in our relationship that's shown through.
Yeah.
I think that's a slightly different piece from like the part of you. So that's like what it would take to like settle down the part of you that's with a fuck no. But I
Hmm.
am curious about like the part of you that, like getting to be like a fuck yes. I mean, you talked a little bit of like that you do have a part of a dom that's like, oh, I kind of like doming and using somebody, but I think that was a bit of a journey too, right? For a long time, doming was like a work thing or it was kind of fun, but like really deeply arousing to you is finding that has been an interesting. I mean, I'm not, um, we switch, and so when you dom me, there was a both a journey for me to kind of find like, oh, my turn on and being a sub, and your turn on and being a dom, because it felt like the eroticism was so much more obvious, even if it was a lot harder to do. And in fact, there was more erotic because it was a lot harder to do. When I
Well,
dom you,
you and you dumb me.
yeah, it's like there's so much forbidden in there for both of us. Um, but yeah,
Wait,
finding,
can we just
yeah,
describe why it's forbidden for both of us? So this is really actually interesting because Jeff's core eroticism is in the dom, and my core eroticism is in the submissive. And yet,
And yet we we are both we're actually getting better at it, but yeah, we were really, really bad when we started at it. Not good, not good at it.
Especially
And I think
our compatibility in the very
yeah,
beginning.
yeah, and I think for me, the being the dom is it's like it feels so forbidden to be like, oh, take whatever not be in service, to take what I want, to not really to be in complete leadership and not have to maybe check in every minute. I mean, we have this little joke about, I would spank Emily. Are you okay? Is everything okay? It's like you're actually trying to inflict a challenging experience on somebody. Stop asking if they're
He
okay.
he
Uh,
literally would flog me. He would go one flog with one hand and take the other hand and immediately rub, like, soothe it.
I thought
Flog,
that was
soothe,
there
flog,
was a
soothe.
there was a part of me that thought that was a great idea. Um,
I drove me crazy. I wanted to kill him.
yeah, I am lucky you did stab me in the eyeball right then.
Because that's the thing is, like, you weren't holding me so that I could melt.
No.
You were
And I wasn't
constantly
allowing there was
yeah.
so much there that I wasn't allowing, all of the things that told me to be a good guy, to be all these things, they weren't allowing me.
Yes.
And also that's why it was so hot, because like, God, if I could just be like that, like the guy I fantasized about, the guy, whatever, that would be really hot. Um,
To
and I
not
think,
have to check in, yeah.
yeah. And for you, you need to, but yeah, for you, be submissive was absolutely forbidden.
Yeah, so Jeff was raised to be of service because for all
Yeah.
many different reasons, and I was raised to take up space. I was raised, like, force-fed, like, "You have to be a badass lady, you're gonna be a CEO, you're gonna be a lawyer." That's how my parents' wounds injected into me, for better or worse, and so the idea of being submissive, the idea of being forced in my submissions, my erotic charge, my natural erotic charge is much more in, like, being forced to do something. So where it's like I'm like a slave against my will, and it could be CNC, which is consensual non-consent. So it's sort of like you could say it's like rape fantasies, but not that it, like, turned down a few notches, which is why ultimately, like, the idea of being a brat just inherently turns me on. Like, this is just in my bone structure, which is where it's like I don't want to do something, but I'm ultimately I obviously do wanna do the thing. Let me just brats fight against doms or, like, might tease. Brats want to surrender. Let's just get
Yeah.
this out of the way. I wanna surrender, but it feels too threatening to just give you over controls in the first place. So my body's chemistry created, like, well, if somebody could just force it from me, that would be
Right.
so hot because then I would get to surrender and I wouldn't have to give up my dignity, yada, yada, yada. I worked very hard at all of these things to let them breathe a little bit more because it was so deeply threatening in my body. So that's why being of service specifically it was like a fuck no in my
Yeah.
body outright. Being a brat, for sure, like hubba
Yeah.
hubba. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we got, I think, we both in that direction and the other direction, we found our way through to where there is turn up. We're not just a fuck no to it. Um, and I'm curious if you wanted to talk about like how that, like and really through the use of archetypes is like we were able to find things
Yeah.
that worked.
So, okay. So, let me just, I want to shift all attention onto the use of archetypes because I feel like crossdressers don't actually have this language that much. Yes, they have maybe like sissy. They have like, okay, the sissy wants to be used, and maybe they have maybe bimbo, but I feel like crossdressers would benefit so much from exploring archetypes in a more precise way because I think this is actually the key to unlocking how to support partners into exploring with them. Uh, so, for example, okay, so Jeff and I, for the longest time, being dominant was more intellectually a turn on rather than erotically a turn on.
For you.
So, yeah, so like the idea of doming people into improving their lives was just like, this is awesome. But I didn't act the idea of being in control erotically was less didn't really do anything for me.
Yeah.
So what happened, and so this changed very dramatically within like the last 5, 6 months. And I've been in this practice for a while now. What happened was I'll just describe this scenario, like actually what happened. So Jeff helps me in my business sometimes. I mean, all of Soul Kink is based on what Jeff and I explore in our relationship. So much of it, and then what I learn with clients, and then it just keeps growing and growing because I'm learning more and more. But so Jeff is kind of like one of the founders of Soul King, kind of. Um, so he helps me in my business sometimes, and I love getting helped. One day, we started realizing. Actually, do you want to tell this story? I like it when you tell it.
Okay. I think the thing was that we realized that when I would help you, I'd stay, we'd work near each other and I'd try to help you, is we ran into a couple obstacles. One is it was like sometimes it was hard for me to feel like, am I having an impact or whatever? And then I think the thing I noticed in you was that you were managing me a lot, or like, am I giving him a meaningful enough task? Is he doing good the thing that I want him to? Is he enjoying it? Is this really helpful? There was a lot of
Like guilt
a
on
lot of
my end.
there was guilt. There was definitely guilt on your end. Like, this is really generous, and I don't know if I deserve it. I don't know what all the things were,
It's
but you
not I
felt
don't
bad,
deserve, but it's like I want to make sure this is good for him too. Like he's just
right?
not like so
Is
he doesn't
it?
become resentful.
Yeah, yeah. Is he going to become resentful? Is this actually fulfilling everybody's highest purpose?
Yeah.
All. So there was a lot of swirl that I could feel from that.
Yeah.
And I didn't, and you brought it up, but you said, well, would you want to actually do this in like a DS container where I dom you to do the work? And I was like, sure, why not? What the fuck?
And now can I just jump in here? Because
Hmm.
another thing is that we had been looking at our relationship and recognizing why is it so hard for Jeff to dom me? Well, it's because I sub unconsciously take more leadership in our relationship.
Yeah,
And so we
you're pretty natural in your leadership.
I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, so then we took a look at this experience and was like, well, maybe this isn't serving us then for me to be telling Jeff what to do during these days where he's helping me. And then that's when I came up with this idea.
Yeah. So yeah. So then I think, and the thing that helped me find my way in as a sub and like actually find some eroticism rather than just be like, oh, this is, because helping you was always nice. I like being of service, but it certainly wasn't like a turn on. Um, was at some point I latched into the archetype of my sub is much more of like a knight or a soldier. So
Hmm.
it's still a masculine archetype, but like being directed by the queen, being of service, being willing to sacrifice myself, take any task, also any punishment, endure, do whatever it takes to atone. Um, that was always kind of a hot thing for me, like atoning for all masculine, all the sins of masculinity. Any of these pieces, that I could be in there is like, oh, there's for whatever reason that like registers like, oh, there's something hot in that. Um, and so yeah, to be in that archetype of like I'm doing whatever, it was helpful. I think it was helpful to you because you stopped worrying. Is this good? Is this worthwhile? Is it, if you don't have anything for me to do, you would just say, sit there, don't do anything.
Sit the fuck
Um,
there. Be quiet.
yeah, be quiet and just lick my feet or whatever. And so yeah, and it was great for me because like all the parts of me that want to be good, that want to be of service, they were all calmed down because like, oh great. And then some of the heat could like then bubble up around being used, being objectified, being toyed with,
Hmm.
all
And
of which are quite hot.
And can you share, you've said this before, also like this idea that the dom's job, this is from
Hmm.
our our teacher Omrapani. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, the thing that happens in a dom sub relationship is the dom is offering the sub a ride on their nervous system, which was helpful on both fronts because what it made me
I
realize is
love
like
that.
my nervous system is extremely settled and calm, and a lot of what went wrong when I would try to dom you is like, oh, I got to do a thing, I got to do an exciting thing, I want to do, and actually know what your excitable nervous system, the ride it wants is a ride on my calm, stable, controlled nervous system. Flip
Excitable. What are
side,
you talking about? I'm not excitable. I don't even know what you're talking about. Why would you even say that?
the flip side is when I get domed, it's like, oh, I want somebody who's gonna like activate me, excite me, take me on a wild ass ride that I don't know where it's going.
Mm,
Um, and so yeah, so that part, one of the things we started to realize the more we did that is like, oh, what I really want when I'm in my sub is like to be. I don't need a lot of containment. I don't need a lot of holding. I want to be pushed pretty hard,
mhm.
which
So
is the opposite of you.
it is the opposite. I am not a masochist, by the way. Everyone should know I am not I am deeply a masochist psychologically,
So
by the way.
you love
Uh,
your humiliation, but
I am
yeah,
a
not all.
deep psychological masochist, whereas Jeff is much more of a physical masochist
Yeah,
and less psychological masochist.
yeah. And
But
sadist, it kind of same works both ways, but yeah,
and you're a physical sadist.
yeah,
Yeah. But I
more
mean,
so.
but I wanted to share this work that we did with folks because do you see how much like tinkering we've done in order to finally find the thing that feels easeful? I mean, Jeff and I have had 4 years of nonstop tinkering, of really understanding how the other one works in order. Literally, this only became easeful. We only like clicked into a profoundly easeful and hot and exciting and exploratory both dom sub, him doming me and switch wise, me doming him dynamic within like the last 4 months.
Yeah,
So I cannot describe to we have 3.5 years of tinkering. But the difference is that him and I both fucking love tinkering.
yeah,
Is that fair to say?
that's definitely fair to say.
We love
Huh.
dissecting we love dissecting the ins and out of what worked and what didn't work.
Hmm. Yeah, but I think yeah, and all of that said, it was like because that's how we found the archetypes that
Mhm.
worked. But I think the piece that really that then having found the archetype, it's you stop tinker. It's when you're in the experience, you just go as hard as you can into the archetype.
Ugh,
And
that's
then
true.
the archetype has their own preferences, their own desires. Is that and then we got. I think that's been a big part of how it's gotten better is we've stopped being so much in our heads about it and go, oh, are we doing this quite right? For me at least, is like,
Well,
oh, just go all in on. So like when I'm doming you, like our favorite one is you and your Evie the brat, and I'm in
that's my
my
brat's name. Evie is my brat's name.
Evie, and we have a nickname for my dom of Duke, who's like the one who's obsessed with respect and what needs to be held in esteem. So when Evie starts being bratty, he then
Gets angry.
gets angry and puts her in her place.
I'm literally getting a little wet just thinking about it.
So
Ugh.
that yeah the thing is having to actually just feel that in the moment and not be like, oh, I have to, what do I do? Am I making a plan? What would be the appropriate response? To just like really be in that persona. Um, has been so helpful.
I'm literally just now realizing that, for 3.5 or 3 years, Jeff and I, after every play session, we would like dissect what went wrong, what went right to death.
To
Like
death.
immediate that
So
was our aftercare. We would immediately go in and be like, "Oh, this moment really worked. This moment did not work. I really I felt insecure here." You know what I mean? And I'm realizing when we play now afterwards, like, talking about it is the last thing that I wanna do until
Yes.
later. Then, like, at night, Jeff and I take baths together to go to bed often. Um, in the bathtub, that's when, like, be like, "Oh, this did work. This was exciting." Like, "Oh, like, let's recount this." But often it's much more general than it used to be. And
Yeah.
what you just said was beautiful, which is like, "Oh, it's because we found the authentic skin of our archetypes that like to play with each other, and so we don't actually have to do that work anymore."
Yeah. I think that's really it. And I think, yeah,
I didn't
audience,
realize that.
we did all this work for you, so you don't have to. It's
Sorry, babes.
just jump straight to the archetype. Don't analyze it too much.
But you know what's so crazy? For literal years, I was like, my background's as an actress. So for years, I was like, but who am I? What is my motivation? What's my backstory? Just tell me, like, who should I be? But then as soon as we've trained with all of these people, you know what I mean? From tantric people to kink people and all these things. And we would do all of these other practices to get into play, like, looking at each other and breathing and gazing together, you know what I mean? Which is very tantric
Mm.
practices and letting all these things. And it would always, and honestly, like we've had more train wrecks than like we've had maybe equal amounts of train wrecks
Yeah.
than,
Well, it it helped us learn that having a train wreck is it's just one bad scene, and you just get up and do it again.
it's just
Um,
one bad scene. I think that's also, it's like there's a phrase that our teacher Umar Pomni says, which is just like, you're not that fucking fragile.
yeah.
You have a bad scene, whoop-de-fucking do. You like, doesn't mean it's the end of your marriage. The problem is like when you collapse. What does this mean for me? It doesn't mean anything. It means you had a bad scene. It means
Right.
that it didn't click in today.
Yeah.
Try tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that we have done very well throughout the time. And so really understand, like, what is an archetype? So this is the advice then that I would give to crossdressers. Do the work to understand your own archetype. The archetype, an archetype is like the king, the slave, the brat, you know what I mean? That's what it's like, a type of, it's like a role that
Yeah.
you might see, that might be described in like a play.
Yeah. The sissy, the bimbo, the sorority sister, the whatever.
And do that work. And if you've listened to this podcast before, internal family systems is one of my favorites. Do find your, like, what does your archetype want? Name your archetype. So I've got, for submissives, I've got two archetypes on either side of the slash. I've got two submissive archetypes and I've got two dominant archetypes. And those came by talking it out with Jeff. Like, oh, I noticed this here. And like, oh my God. But this worked here. But recognize, following your pussy, following your eroticism, what actually turns you on, not what you think turns you on, but like, oh, I got aroused in this scenario. Oh, I got aroused in this scenario, in that scenario. And only by like leading it, it was like literally like I was in a dark room, like following the noise of my eroticism because it was so confusing to me for so long. Was I able to put together these archetypes? So for my submissive, I've got a brat named Evie, and then I've got her name's Nymph, but she's basically just wants to be in deep flow. So she actually doesn't care who's leading or who's following. She just wants to be like flowy. And then for my dom, I've got Sid, who is deeply sadistic in all ways, shapes, and form. And then I've got Priestess, who wants to bring us all to God. And, like, who will make you get on your knees because she's conjuring thunder and lightning above your head in order to strike God
Mm.
into your soul. Casual.
Yep.
And what about you? Tell me, what are your archetypes, my
Yeah,
love?
I think that I mean, and there's this piece of sort of matching. So when you're an Evie, as we talked about, I need to bring that Duke, which is the one who's extremely obsessed with being respected and esteemed, and was not willing to put up with you bratting. I think when you're a nymph,
Well, hold on,
then
just for that one, which is, by the way, the exact opposite of Jeff's everyday personality.
absolutely, it's the hardest one for me to like just. But we were getting, knowing the archetype actually helps so I can get into it much quicker. Now it's like, oh, I know exactly that. I get the feeling of like, oh, that part that you talked about internal family systems, like the creature inside of me who is actually really pissed off when he's not respected.
But
And
so
like,
that part was inherently in, like, you pulled out the part that was already in you.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, these are, I mean, this is not something that's, I think you told me once about there's an acting thing about you're not so much like creating a character as sort of revealing a part of you and that already feels that way. Um, but yeah, there's definitely that's definitely what's going on. Um, yeah, but with Nymph, it's more like Nymph's also a little bit childlike and just wants to be in flow, wants pleasure, and so needs a much more of a king parent, dom kind of figure. Um, and then I really only have the one sub of helper of the soldier. So that loves it when Sid is, you know, rains down um upon him. So yeah.
Okay, so let's go through, now that we've talked about archetypes a little bit, let's go through maybe some like actual agreements
Mm,
that a crossdresser could use with their partner um to make a functional relationship. Does that sound
yeah.
good?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think we're there.
So, I think the first thing is that you have to reframe. If you have a kink, and this is with all kinks, if you have a kink that your partner is not into, like, please, like, if there's any way to reframe it, which is like they're saying no because it's the first thing that comes in their body and it scares them because they don't know where to go. They don't know what it means for them. They don't know how to
They don't know what it
relate
means
to
for
it.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know what it means for them. And so, if you could together open the possibility that it's not a no, it's just it's it's conditional. I- it's a no until the conditions are right. So it is then your both of your jobs if you want to explore this because you can't do it, just a crosser can't do this alone. But it's both of your jobs to agree to how can we explore the conditions together
Hmm.
to actually understand what we would both need to make this hot. So let's figure out the stages and how we could get there. So, number one, whose home is in what energy? Don't you agree, babe?
Yeah, I think, I mean, as we talked about from the very beginning, is like for you would have to know that you could spend a lot of your time in your home where you're the pretty one, where you're desired, where you're being held. Um, which implies directly that the other person would have to be pretty at home in their masculine.
Right. And so, what, like, really understanding whose home is where and do they like that home? If they don't like that home, we have to figure out how to unburden that home.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think I want to be clear. Is like is you cannot want to be there all the time. I'll go back to the dom sub piece. Is like I wouldn't want to be submissive all the time, but that doesn't mean I don't want to like go hang out there sometimes. So
Right.
it's yeah. So it's so there. I think it's but there is definitely this concept of like yeah the home and the regular like ins and outs of the relationship. It'd be good to know that those are compatible.
That's exactly it. And also that, like, cross-dressing is not a replacement to those
Mm,
homes. It is
right.
an expansion.
Yeah, I
That
like that.
I think is a really important reframe. So, if you are a cross-dresser, now this is, I want to be honest, this is not, I'm not speaking to trans people right now. I am not speaking to people who are born a man and who do not, who feel very strongly that their home is not in the masculine. That is a completely different thing. This is for people who, like, actually 90% of their life or whatever percent of the life, they want it they are happy. They're okay with their masculine. And even if they need to do healing there, but that is where they wanna live. They don't actually want to fully transition to a female. So, first agreement is how do you understand each other's homes and understanding what you do and do not like about that home.
Mm.
Fair?
Yeah, really good.
Okay. Agreement 2. What do you think? I feel like something about, like, direct communication, master of time and space. This is about, like, supporting the masculine in, like, what would your advice be? Supporting a man to heal their relationship with a masculine so that they can be better hold their partner, which means that their partner would be better able to explore with them in their feminine.
Yeah, I think from my experience, the I'll go back to is like the the learning to hold myself, and
Mm.
then being able to hold you, to hold my own feminine, to hold my own emotions, and that, I think the big key there is a lot of my life, what I thought like holding my own emotions meant was really actually dissociation, pretending
Oh,
I didn't have emotions.
slow clap. Everyone, did you
Um,
hear this? Please write it down, tattoo it on your
yeah,
forehead.
yeah.
Never forget
There's a
this.
lot there's a lot of practices that's like, you're just actually not, you're separating yourself from emotion. It's like the real practice is that I feel them. I'm still in my emotion, but I'm not it's not getting in the driver's seat. It's not taking charge. I can hold it myself. Because
That's so
that's
big.
only from that place could I actually hold you. Um, and yeah, I think that we'll go back to is like my read on that is like it's all those things you have to do to make your feminine partner feel really full. So that
Mhm.
then before you ask for something else, it's like
Mhm.
make sure they're really, really full, and then you're approaching is like, oh, now I have this other thing that you may not be your favorite kink, um, but you can approach it from a place of generosity. So yeah, so knowing what it takes for your feminine partner to feel safe and feel full and feel
Mhm.
abundant. Um, yeah, that feels like that would be a huge part of the agreement. Is like we're actually really going to dig into that, and when it runs both directions, obviously, but I think specifically for if you're the one asking for something that's a little outside of the other person's preferences and what they're used to,
Mm.
is you better be sure it's back to that. You better bring a lot to the table. You better be sure that they're feeling very abundant and safe and all of that.
I love that. That's so important. Yeah. So, okay. So for me, let's talk about my agreements. So my number one
Hmm.
agreement in order to date a crossdresser as a primary partner was number one is that their home needs to be in the masculine.
Hmm.
For me,
Yeah.
this is for me, Emily. That's number two is I want them to, because their home is in the masculine, I want them to be a master of time and space.
Yeah.
I want them to lead communication. I want them to plan dates. I want them
You
to
want them to be direct in their
direct.
communication.
Yes. And I want them to be able to see me in my feminine, to hold
Hmm.
my feminine if I need to have a swirl or if I'm like, you know,
They don't they don't collapse. They don't make it about them.
and I do, this is also something that is not talked about in terms of cross dressing, also in exploring like masculine and feminine, is the person with the uterus is going to have a lot more biological imperative to have their home in a feminine. Now, I'm not saying everyone with the universe has a home in a feminine, but I'm just saying like half of my life is spent riding the waves of my hormones. Half of it. So I don't get a choice. I would love to be in my masculine. Well, like I would love to not to have this shit calm down, but this is what's up. And I think that needs to be honored and worshipped by my partner, regardless if they're a crossdresser or not.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Uh, okay. Agreement 3. I want to be the pretty one. for most of the time. Do you think that's
Yeah.
fair?
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think the most of the time is the interesting question there. Is like, and for us, like in lots of things, where if I'm going into my submissive or into my feminine, is that we'll set a container. We'll set a fixed amount of time or some kind of schedule or something, so that yeah, the all of your creatures know that, oh yeah, you can go into that, but you're not going to have to make your home in
Yeah.
your dominant, in your masculine. So it's, you know that, okay, there's a
There's
time limit.
there's a beginning and an end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and absolutely. So then everything outside of that, in my relationship with Jeff, like, I'm the desired one.
Mm.
I mean, like
Mm. You have the adornment budget. You have the
Wait, do you wanna describe what the adornment budget is?
no, it's just things that I'll pay for eyelashes or hair coloring or pretty lingerie, or one of our favorite things to do is we go shopping and I get to watch you get dressed up in pretty outfits, or sexy outfits. And yeah. So yeah, that's my kink. So not everybody's, but yeah, it's clear that we both enjoy your beauty very much.
I am straight up blushing over here for people who are not watching this YouTube version of this. Yeah, and I fucking love it, and it makes me so happy.
Mm,
It is the best, and so that would need if I was gonna date a crossdresser, I would want that to be part of our relationship, and then to create a container, which goes into maybe agreement number 4. Polarity switching is pre-negotiated.
yeah,
That shit is measured out to a T. We understand how long it's going to happen. We understand how to enter into it. We understand how to exit from it so that I don't ever fear, am I going to get stuck on the other side? That
right,
doesn't feel I'm happy to play with it, which is why I said at the beginning, like, oh, I'd love to do this as a secondary partner. Be super fun because that means that I know at the end of the date, I'm going back to my masculine container of my beloved.
right.
So that would be a huge thing. I do not want any ambiguity. Zero ambiguity, especially zero ambiguity mid-experience.
Hmm, right.
None of that. Fair?
Yeah, that's right, and that's true of actually most kinks, right? Is like you don't having the clear direction, having set containers and knowing like what your archetype is, what your role is, what we're doing. Um, yeah, it's like you said, you're. It just made me think too of you're an emotional masochist. You love humiliation. That doesn't mean I like walk into you when you're chopping food in the kitchen and go, "Oh, you're a clumsy slut." It's like that doesn't have any, um,
Or
you
like
know,
when I actually make a mistake and
right?
you say like, "See, I told you you can't do anything."
Yeah,
Not
randomly,
okay.
not what we want. The the whole thing, the first C in CNC is consensual.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
It's really, really different when it's when you've had prior consent.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so agreement number 5 is we know how to return to baseline. This is a big one. And this is actually something that Jeff and I could probably be a little bit better at. When I dom Jeff, sometime because the doming feels so good, sometimes
You keep bossing me around for the next 4 hours.
Yeah, yeah. Yep, mhm. And sometimes he's so sweet and so kind and generous that he'll look at me like, "Is this the dynamic you want right now?" And I'll be like, "No. No, it's not." Because ultimately, I don't wanna be in the masculine. Ultimately, I don't wanna be the
In
one
charge all the time.
in charge all the time. But I need help sort of coming back to baseline with that. And so actually one of the things that Jeff and I do to get out of a scene is when I'm doing aftercare with him or when I'm exiting from being a dom, I'll be like, "Now, like, take a deep breath in and exhale and climb back onto your throne."
Yeah.
Like, get off the floor, climb back onto your throne so that you are deeply rooted in the leadership of this family and of your cock and your spine and your heart and your power. How does that work for you?
Yeah, it's funny. Absolutely. Although it's funny in both directions. I think a lot of times, which is great, is when we go in and you're like you're just a helper. I can do anything I want to you. I remember the first time you did it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is mostly for Emily, not really for me. I'm like all in, and you're like talking yourself into the right archetype. Is that there is, I think, whatever the right process is, there's a thing for both parties to go, okay, yeah, we're shifting back to yeah, our home, our day-to-day um
And make that a
way of
yeah,
being.
and make that a ritual.
Ritual, yeah, it's really
I
big.
like, rituals are such an important part, especially if you're gonna be pre-negotiating a flip like this. The ritual of of wherever you're going. We ritualize going into the container, we ritualize going out of the container so that we're celebrating the baseline and that the baseline is actually where we want to be
Yeah,
and really understanding how to make that.
that's a big one.
Okay, so do you think there would be any other um agreements that you would want to add or
No, I think that's pretty comprehensive. I think the pieces like of a lot of the ones you mentioned is like the other person, they'd actually have to be good at it. Um, they'd have to do a good job of holding you, helping you get back to baseline or whatever, negotiating good polarity switches. It's like, yeah,
so
you,
okay
they'd have to have
so,
the skills.
so before we end, I want to take a little bit of time. So this is again one of the biggest realizations that I had in this whole conversation was I feel like I'm doing a disservice to crossdressers by only supporting them in strengthening their feminine. And I get the feminine is where the taboo is, the feminine is where erotic is, the feminine is where it's like no one is helping. No, there's no content or media to support crossdressers by a cis woman, by a woman who is, somebody who has a home in the feminine in supporting their feminine. So I understand why my audience flocks to me for that. And it feels like a disjointed or hypocritical or um partial conversation if we're not also talking about the masculine strengthening that they would need in order to create a holistic, healthy, securely attached, um, intimate connection with their partners whose home is in the feminine. Because it's one thing, go off in your closet by yourself and go masturbate and put on your clothes and have these individual experiences. I don't want that. I don't want that for my audience. I want them to be in partnership to feel the ecstasy of walking transparently hand in hand with their beloved. In order to do that, we need to give them some tools on how to strengthen their masculine along with their feminine. Does that sound right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Again, and you said it before, but I just feel that I feel really closely aligned to this is that we're not talking about somebody who's trans, who's really like not really has dysphoria about their being in their masculine. Is like that's a whole separate thing. This is people who are who
switching
switching, yeah, who move back and forth between their masculine and their feminine expression.
and who are okay. Like who want to stay their home in their masculine.
Yeah,
Okay, very important. So, can you give us some tools? Because this is why I have you on here. You are the masculine practice connoisseur. Can you give our audience some tools on what would be like a couple of tools that you would suggest to men
yeah,
in terms of strengthening their masculine?
yeah. And I think the the number one thing that's like made a difference for me is having a stable meditation practice. Um, and that really
Totally.
goes to being help being rooted, help being grounded, and also the just like finding a way to stay rooted and grounded in a lot of the meditation practice I do have some uncomfortable positions involved with it, so that like learning to stay open and open-hearted and calm and non-reactive, even when things are, when I'm facing the feminine storm, when um
I don't know what you're talking about.
the
Keep going.
when the when a lot of emotion comes at you, knowing how that you can hold that, and that has really come through the meditation practice of like learning to be non-reactive, and
Hmm.
to really be able to hold myself, and not go internal, not make it about me. Just stay open, and observe. We talked about like the masculine as the witness, the observer. Just so, yeah, I'm just witnessing Emily in some wild, crazy reaction that she's having to
Luteal.
something luteal. Not going there. But but yeah, I was like, oh, that's a cool story, but it's not about me. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel that being the biggest one.
Okay. Awesome. Um, what are what's another tool?
I think one other one that comes to mind is, and this kind of goes with the archetypes, but I think there's this piece about it as much has to do with also just the being. We've talked a lot about how I feel like it would be much easier for your partner to be generous if they're feeling very full and feeling very well held, and all that
Huh.
is really cultivating some curiosity about your partner. I mean, I
Mm.
am have done a lot of study and devotion. Maybe say I'm an expert on the Emily shaped set of desires and backstories and creatures and history. Is like, yeah, really, really being curious, because if you want this thing from your partner that's maybe not automatically, they go, oh yeah, that's hot, I would love to do that too. Which, let's be fair, that's actually a fairly rare event. Is like, what would really make them feel full till they be generous, or what would turn them on? What would be an archetype that maybe, as we work together and eventually you found your little torturer Sid, is like that came because we're like, okay, what's the part of you that really likes, um really likes doming me, and all those things. So yeah, I think cultivating a sense of curiosity is absolutely, about your partner, and what would really make them happy. Because I even, not just cross dressing, but any kind of, like I said, any time I get together with guys and start talking about like, oh, I would really want this thing from my partner,
Hmm.
frequently the conversation doesn't go to them. Well, what does your partner really want from you that you're
Mm.
you're not providing? That
Yes.
is not usually where it goes. And so I think it's like steering that to be like, oh yeah, I should really know, what does my partner really want? What makes her feel like, oh, so full, that then maybe they should be willing to start exploring this thing that's maybe not her thing.
That is so important. And I will also say, you are specifically because you are so service oriented. We actually talked about this, how sometimes it can tend to like, what does Emily want for so
Mm.
much? And because and I love that. I love the attention and like, let's mold the whole world around me. Thank you so much. And also because I feel so full by you, so filled up and so abundant and so feel so grateful. I'm constantly trying to check myself, but what about your experience?
Yeah.
Like, that would not naturally happen. Well, I do catch myself. Um, there's a part of me who's really afraid of being fully narcissistic, so I actually have trained myself to constantly check in with the other
Yeah,
person, but still, like,
that is accurate.
it's also a thing that I wanna do towards you, and that's because we
Yeah.
have such a good equilibrium.
Yeah. And that, I mean, I think that's what we both want, right? I would go back to, or well, in certain scenes there could be something very, very sexy about you doing it completely out of obligation and hating every moment of it and being forced to. It's like we actually really want both people to be enjoying the thing,
Right.
right? And so finding, and the only way you find out is by, yeah, really, really being curious, and asking the other person like, well, what would you think of it? What if that doesn't turn you on? Is there anything nearby that could turn you on? Any of those things?
I love that. Perfect. Okay. Do you have another tool?
I think, yeah, the final one that was like really been helpful for me is like having some support from other like-minded men. And this is specifically for me. Like a lot of my childhood core wounds are around the masculine, not trusting my
Hmm.
own masculine, not trusting other men. I definitely had a feeling that like I don't want to be. I like specific men maybe, but like a group of men always
Hmm.
felt very threatening. They kind of turn into assholes. There's all these things. So I would really try to avoid that. And it was only through like actually working through that and then getting in a men's group. And the way to get over that was actually be in a men's group, be around other men who are heart centered, who don't just want to talk about sports or go to strip clubs or whatever. Not that any of those are bad. It's just like, but actually being willing to talk about the real things that are going on. Like what are the things I'm struggling with? What are the great joys in my life? And having a place that's not my partner to kind of dump some of my, emotional
That's
storm.
huge.
Yeah, I mean, you have a women's group, I have a men's group. It's like not from both cases, like, oh, here's some stuff we can like where we can dump and vent and not always have to have it be in the partnership. And specifically, I think for men's group, the piece, like I said, is that the number one thing that helped me heal my relationship with the masculine, my own and others, is hanging around with like-minded, heart-centered men. And I go, oh, actually, these guys are pretty cool. This isn't that dangerous, and cultivating my own sense of safety.
Mm. What do you do in a men's group?
Um, a lot of them can be different, but I mean, I think one of the core things is it's to be really masculine. It's at a set time with a set structure, all those great masculine values.
Like biweekly or once a month?
Yeah, it's by me, it's going to last an hour and a half or 2.5 hours or whatever. And here's our general agenda. Here's a specific thing. And you go into where you really expose yourself, your hearts to each other, and where your pain
Mm.
or things you're really struggling with. Sometimes there's specific practices. Sometimes I mean, I've done lots of different things to help get me in that mode. But I think the main piece is that yeah, you're structured, and the big piece, another thing is like the masculine grows through challenge and accountability. So it's like you're willing to hold each other accountable. You can call each other on your bullshit. It's like, yeah, I notice you're still whining about this thing that you haven't done in your life, and why have the fuck haven't you just done it? These
Mm.
kind of sort of directional um, pushes. So those are the pieces that I feel are really important.
Hmm. I love that. So recap. The first tool you said was meditation.
Meditation. Second one is curiosity about your partner and what would actually really make them feel full and safe and
Yeah.
generous. And the third is like get a men's group, and whether it's either paid containers out there or just get two other guys who have similar values
I am honestly
and start doing it.
so happy you brought up men's work because that is a perfect segue into like that honestly that exactly what you said is exactly why I created Outrageously Her, which is a cohort for crossdressers, but it's specifically because most crossdressers have a wound with their masculine. They don't, and most crossdressers don't don't really know how to be open-hearted around other men. So therefore, like the idea their masculine is so burdened. It's so it's such an unsafe, uninspiring place to be. And because of that, for a million different reasons, childhood, like kinks, whatever, they found a home. They have found that relief in their feminine. But in order to create a much more holistic life, and again, with you and your partner, we like finding a deeper sense of being, a deeper sense of purpose, a deeper sense of belonging within your masculine. And that is like, so bringing the idea of bringing a cohort of cross-dressers together. Now, I've marketed it saying like, this is about finding feminine together, which is completely true because the feminine is inherently communal. The feminine in all of us is meant to be, and sisterhood is meant to be like tribal, right? That is like the inherent quality of the feminine. And so the idea of you just going off in your closet and like hiding all of this away is anti-feminine. And even though it can be, the secrecy and the taboo can be erotic and all of these things, but so it's like, yes, let's come together and celebrate each other's feminine and work on makeup tips and look and like support each other in getting the right outfits and all of these rituals that take place in the communal for the feminine, ritual of getting ready. But also, let's explore together what it's like to be in a person group, a men's group, a female, whatever you want to call it, but an intimate group where you're with other men who are exploring this and where you can actually be together. So it's like a men's group for the feminine is the whole idea of Outrageously Her.
Amazing.
Amaze, amaze, amaze. So anyway, that is exactly how I want to end this podcast because I'm going to leave it
Mm.
right there. So I do want to take the time to acknowledge my beloved. This is your very first podcast.
Yep.
Your very first podcast showing. Thank you so
I
much.
I didn't die.
You didn't die. You did a great job. I'm definitely the one who likes the stage. Jeff loves to be backstage on the
Yep.
stage, so it's a big deal. And then also, I'm going to link some men's resources, masculine resources that Jeff is going to pull for me in the comments. So if you're interested in like, oh, what does men's work look like? For example, can you list maybe a couple of them?
Yeah, I think like I did my stuff through John Weiland. Justin Patrick Pierce does a men's container. The Mankind Project is out there still,
That's
I think.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally, if you are interested in Outrageously Her, we are launching July 28th of this summer, and it goes to November 3rd. We meet every other week, so it's bi-weekly. I think it's at 3 p.m. Mountain Time. And then, there's going to be people from all over the world. You can go check that out at www.soulkink.com/outrageously-her. I'll put that in the comments as well. Thank you so much for joining for this super special episode of Soul Kink Therapy, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye, honeys.